Today we have with us Bharti Dekate, Executive Coach and OD Consultant. Hi Bharti, welcome to the show.
A pleasure to be on your show.
So Bharti, tell us, what place does conversation have in great leadership?
I think conversations have a great place in leadership because they're akin to mining knowledge that exists at the grassroots level, and that's where the action is happening today. It's no longer happening in the penthouses of leadership. So great conversations have the ability to unlock knowledge which is very fertile, very raw, very rare and valuable. Great conversations also enable leaders to give their folks a sense of safety so that they can share, they can build things together.
Okay.
And to me, great conversations also are about asking meaningful questions that enable people to think about what could be and not stay restricted to what is and how we have done things in the past.
It also helps the leaders craft the kind of culture that they want to build in the organization. Would that be the right way to understand?
So it's interesting that you point that out, because to me culture is what happens when you're not there. And to me, great leaders usually cultivate a culture where meaning can flow even in their absence.
Okay.
So if leaders have managed to build a culture of having authentic, deep, meaningful conversations, then these conversations take seed and they continue to happen even when leaders are not in meetings, which means there is a lot more that gets generated and created across the organization. It's a sign of fertility, and it's a sign of nurturing great ideas and great minds.
Super, super. What happens to the workforce which does not directly belong to you, which is not a part of your organization but is still a part of your organization? What happens to the workforce who's working out of the gig economy?
So it's interesting. Today, a lot of people who work for us are not necessarily people who report into us. So let's say if I'm in the e-commerce industry, then I want to know the views of the delivery boy who's not necessarily reporting into me, because the delivery boy is far closer to the customer than I ever will be. I want to hear the stories of people who are working in my company and how those stories connect with the end consumer. I want to know, for example, what's happening to the people who are not my customers.
Okay.
And I want to interact with people who are making my media campaigns, people who are doing a lot more for my business, which means that I need to take off my hat of knowing what I already know.
Okay.
And what that means for me as a leader who wants to have meaningful conversations is that I want to be able to have the ability to level set my conversation to whoever I'm speaking with. I should be in a position to have meaningful conversation with the delivery boy and at the same time have a meaningful conversation with the CEO of my company.
Sure.
And that's a fungible skill that makes me valid, relevant.
Zoom in, zoom out.
And be able to tap into the wisdom that exists at all these levels of the hierarchy of the informal and informal organization. Really that.
All the time. So, can you give some tips to our growing leaders on how is it that they build these skills of having effective conversations as they become leaders in organizations?
So a few tips. One, listen in. It's really important for your conversation partner to first empty their cup before you can fill it up with more conversation. Second, watch out the adjectives that you're using, because your adjectives are qualifiers and you never know what meaning they're stroking in the listener's mind. Third, ask questions that are meaningful, powerful, preferably those that don't have ready, straight answers, because these are the questions that will lead you to the future. All other questions lead you to known knowledge, which is not as powerful. Fourth, offer safety. Make sure that your conversation partners feel safe, feel that they can share what they think, and we all have meters of quality within ourselves. We know when a conversation is going right, so build a sensor towards that. Fifth, use the lexicon that the other person is using. By using the words that your conversation partner is using, you give out signals that you're truly listening and you are participating in the conversation. So those are the 5 tips for your leaders.
Super. That's all that we have time for today. Thanks once again, Bharti. It was an absolute pleasure having you.